Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Equestria Daily Fandom Podcast. In this episode, we're going to go through some overall questions about the site as well as ourselves. We're kind of taking a little leaflet out of the Equestria Daily Q&As. I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have Ferret.
Hi.
And Aquaman.
I'm just still here from last week. I didn't even shut off Skype.
Yeah, we
considered letting him sleep, but we decided not to bother. I mean, you give him enough energy drinks. He's a college student.
He definitely lives.
I never ran out of liquor, so let's go.
So we're just going to jump right in. We had a lot of questions this week. So Algernon97 asks, we'll start with Ferret, did you ever think EQD would get this big?
Honestly, I didn't think the fandom would get this big. I came into the fandom fairly early. The first one I saw live was Applebuck season, and that was, I basically found My Little Pony through Equestria Daily. Mm-hmm. And it was just crazy, you know, when the hiatus hit and all of a sudden everything exploded and was just kind of, oh my god, there's so many people. And the fact it just keeps growing is fantastic. But I definitely didn't expect it to get as big as it did. I thought it would probably always be a pretty niche thing.
How about yourself, Aqua?
Okay, so if we're talking about general expectations of how this whole thing would work, let me briefly start with how I got into the fandom, because Ferret talked about, I just found EQD, I got in the first episode or so. Around 2000, I guess it was January, February of 2011, I decided that for the first time in my life, I was going to go to 4chan. Now, I knew nothing about 4chan.
I'm amazed that you survived this long without.
I knew nothing about it. I had heard all these horror stories. Everyone had told me about all the, wonders and depravities that could be found therein. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go check it out. I'm going to see what's going on.
I just imagine you as this, scrawny little innocent, bright, dewy-eyed thing, and then you click on 4chan, and it's just the corruption seeps out of the water.
I will say, I didn't have a beard before I went there, but now it's all over the place.
A horrific horror. Did your anyway, get sort of furry, too?
Yeah, so I went there, about what I expected. Saw, the normal things one would see. And in the middle of all this, there was this thread with all these pony macros, and I also had no idea what was going on. So I clicked through a couple of them. I thought it was a joke. I looked into little threads. It's like, all right, maybe this is some kind of weird meta thing, because it doesn't seem like it's a joke. And then I watched the first episode. I guess it was the pilot, both parts of it. And my prevailing thought at the time was, okay, that didn't suck half as much as I thought it was going to. And then I watched another few. I think I had nothing else to do that night, which I hope is why I watched 12 in a row.
Pretty much.
Keep telling yourself that.
But eventually I got to about Applebuck season, or I think Bridal Gossip was the kicker. Where I was like, all right, I'm in. Let's do this. But in that, given how I came in, I had no real context for fandom at large. The small community I was part of on FFN, just as a very, very new budding writer, was nothing compared to just even the blog's audience. I came in at 2 million hits. Because I remember it was right after the Mad Max comic came out for our 2 millionth hit. And just from that, I think it's something over the several hundred million. Now it's got to be up into 500 or 600s. I think the counter's been gone for a long time. It broke.
Yeah, we sort of destroyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, so at the time and then even now, it never really occurred to me that it was going to be a thing that got big. It seemed like it had potential to do it, but I had no basis for comparison on how big it would be. It's I was used to publishing stories, maybe getting 1,000 views if I was really lucky. And then, the position I have now, every follow-up I put up gets, if it's a good one, 20 to 30,000, anywhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
So, even compared to the regular YouTube stuff, that's kind of small fry, but compared to where I was coming from, everything's big.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's all cool. And it's all something that I don't quite know how to predict. Even now, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe something crazy will come out in the next season and we'll have another resurgence, or maybe it'll just stay the way it is.
Yeah, I remember Seth saying that the fandom pretty much peaked at this point, so it's staying level. When I came in a week after Derpygate. So there was
oh god.
There was just
a bunch of nerds freaking out on the internet and said, "Well, I better go see what's going on here. This seems fun."
I would say you were like, "Ooh, drama, let me get the popcorn."
Yeah, I got sent Luna Eclipse by a friend, and then I watched it and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, that was relatively entertaining, and then I waited like a month because I have the habit of picking up shows and then like never picking them up again. I picked up Game of Thrones, the first episode, like a year ago and just haven't touched it since. And the same thing went for Pony. I watched Luna Eclipsed, and then I like went back and marathon the rest of the episodes, and I had like a year of just being weird. Like I went through EQD and like downloaded the past 3 years of music, and I took part in the National Novel Writing Month and like stuff like that. So the question is like, no, I didn't ever think EQD would get this big, but at the same time, it's like how I'd never really had this sort of fandom before. I was in like an anime fandom before, but there were like not even close to as many people. So it's like, I don't know.
Pony was the big fandom for me too. Like, same as you. Anime fandoms, Pony blew it all out of the water.
Yeah, Pony is just ridiculous. There's so many. Not ridiculous,
well, and
but
especially in terms of involvement too.
Yeah, like this is the only fandom.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's the thing that I will say surprised me more than anything was how much of an actual community it spawned. Mm-hmm. Because even when I was in initially, once I started actually earnestly watching the show, there was still this sense of like irony about it.
Yeah,
it's like everyone. Yeah. Because it was founded on 4chan, so there was no like real serious attitude about this being a community or this being a lifestyle or anything even close to it. It was a show that everyone was kind of aware was weird for us to be watching, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, let's it was really this like, hey, let's buck the trend.
Yeah, and then the
weird people because we're watching it. Now we got to keep it up.
Huge jump onto it came between seasons 1 and 2, and I came in just in time to like get used to it and then have that happen.
Yeah. And then everyone suddenly went, hey, I know we're doing this ironically, but I actually unironically like this show. Whereas for me, I'm a girl. Like, I grew up with the original My Little Pony. I remember the original T-Rex. I remember Applejack the Silly Pony. Like, so when I saw the new Pony, I was kind of like, oh, I remember this. And then I watched it and I went, okay, it's nothing like what I remember. I need more of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bonkers, man. And I guess what are some general problems you face in running the site? We'll go with Aquaman first.
I suppose calling me someone who runs the site is very generous. I contribute to it. I would put myself more as like
follow-ups. You do some of the best follow-ups.
Yeah,
thank you. That's a contributing thing though. So there's running the site, like being an editor, and then there's being a contributor. So I'm not, disparaging the contribution, but it's just a different sort of level of involvement.
Mm-hmm.
What are difficulties you run into as a contributor?
I was getting to that.
Sure you are.
They never let me finish.
Nope.
I have to get back to them by making the follow-up stupidly long.
And full of obscure film references.
Yep. It's my favorite. That's probably the most difficult part for me is looking up all the damn references. But,
see, I didn't realize you looked them up. I honestly thought you were just basically a walking TV tropes collection.
I sort of am, but I'm also looking out to make sure I get them right. Like, a great example is there was the one in Crusaders of the Lost Mark where I made a reference to the Breakfast Club. And I didn't have a specific reference in mind, but what happens a lot is I'll get this idea in my head. It's like, all right, at some point in this, I want to make a reference to the Breakfast Club. It seems like it would fit. There's got to be a line somewhere that would work. And so I went to IMDb or wherever and I trolled the quotes page, and I found that line about, like, could you describe the ruckus, sir? And it seemed perfect, so I slotted it in.
I remember reading that going, oh my gosh, I think that's a reference, but I can't remember.
Yeah, what I have is like this bank of cultural awareness, and then I'd narrow it down to specific stuff based on what would fit in. So, yeah, the most difficult part for me is just organizing all of that and getting all of that together in a timely fashion because it's never early.
Yeah, we actually had another question that we can actually just answer right here. How long does it take you guys to do a follow-up? Because I know all three of us have done a follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, Aqua, you first.
I probably take the longest, and I'm only guessing that because, A, of the number of images I generally use. I think I go over the recommended max a lot. There's a lot of text, which I know some people aren't.
Because I know people are going to ask, the recommended we usually have is like 20 to 30 images, I think.
Oh yeah, I go to like.
And I think we usually say like 40 on the outside, and Aqua's regularly done ones that have 50 or 60 images.
Yeah, and in case anyone thinks that like I plan these ahead a lot or there's some kind of outline, I take the episode, I watch in the morning.
By the seat of your pants.
Doing other things during the day, and then I pull up another HD thing. It's one single run through where I'm getting screenshots, captioning them. If I don't have a caption for a screenshot immediately, I just delete it. And then usually I'll finish with less than an hour before like when the post is supposed to go up. On two of the last three, I literally finished like at the exact minute the post is supposed to go up.
Yeah.
Like it was going to be like 3 p.m. Eastern time. The post was not done at 2:59.
No.
Like it coincidentally went up at exactly 3 p.m. because that was when I finished like my stupid little intro thing I always do and got the image.
Aqua, hurry up! You're gonna be late.
I've never been late, not once.
No, we were so scared you were gonna be though because you cut it so fine because you don't normally do that much to cut it that close.
How about yourself, Barrett? How long does it you take?
Oh God, it takes me pretty much the entire day. So I will watch the episode. I used to watch the live streams, but I've been finding lately that with my, Canadian internet up in the frozen north, it hasn't been working out. So I will watch it as soon as it goes on YouTube. And that's I watch it with a friend and I just sit and enjoy it. And then I get a copy of the episode and I literally just go through it and just will watch it obsessively and we'll go back and rewatch. Like I watch it at about, I think, half speed. So I can find, the best frames for it and just take a huge, Aqua's talking about it takes him forever, but, I mean, he's a lot better at it than I am, where it's literally, I will just take every single screenshot I can think of, and I'll end up with, I usually end up with about 100 shots, and then I have to go back and pare them down. I start to go back through and go, okay, well, I have 3 shots of a pony getting hit by a pumpkin. Okay, well, which is the best frame? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll use that one, delete the other 4. And then go and start captioning. And yeah, I usually try and have it done that night, but there have been times where I actually have it done the next morning. But I never cut it as fine as Aqua. I've usually got it done by about noon, and then I kind of throw it at people and go, okay, validate my ego and tell me that this is funny, and if it's not, tell me funnier stuff.
Yeah.
Because I really like to get other people to help me with it, because I often find that they're funnier than me and I can steal their ideas.
Oh yeah. The other thing I do in terms of other people helping is I'll troll I'm in a few different Skype chats, and at some point in all of them, somebody will point out oh, here's a little Easter egg in the background, or oh, here's something somebody on Derpy Brewer mentioned or noticed. Yeah. And all of that goes in and is phrased as if I noticed it. Yes. Because no one can tell.
There's a chat I'm in where the guy, I swear, watches it frame by frame. 4 times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, at the same time, it's a single run-through. Because if I do a second run-through, I will notice 50 more things that I didn't notice and just will self-destruct in a way.
I mean, if I'd done a second run-through through Crusaders of the Lost Mark, it would have been 100 images, and it would have literally been a slideshow of every frame Diamond Star was in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. I've done that for characters.
I'm pressed for time and space. I gotta collate a little bit.
You have to pick the best Diamond Tiara pictures.
Oh, there were several.
Don't you mean all of them?
Yes.
Several. Be reasonable.
Yeah, with I only did one follow-up, and that was the Scaremaster one. Aqua handed that one to me when he was just having a kind of a stressful time, but it took me 10 hours to do the Scaremaster follow-up, and I did
That's amazing, isn't it? How long it actually takes you. People like Pegasus Rescue Brigade, who I was friends with, was like, oh my gosh, it takes me hours. And I remember thinking, why? It doesn't seem that hard. And then doing it myself going, oh God. No, I completely understand why it takes you forever now.
Yeah, I couldn't. Apparently the way that everyone else was getting the screenshots was just the way that wasn't working for me. So I had to personally use Gyazo and open up the episode of my VLC media player.
Gyazo has saved my life. I would not be able to do it without Gyazo. It's the greatest thing I've ever downloaded on my computer.
And use the screenshot program in there, actually.
That's what I did, yeah, basically. And it took me it took me the first 8 hours to just collect everything, and then the next 2 hours to come up with material. And even that, the first hour that I was getting screenshots, I remember I had 60 images, and Seth was like, whoa, dude, calm down. I was in the first 5 minutes.
nobody's gonna read a 60 picture follow-up. Like, you
Yeah.
can't do that. I just remember thinking, for my follow-ups, I so often want to do, like, 2 different follow-ups. Like, one where it's, hey, that episode was great, wasn't it fun? And then do another one that's, oh my god, these backgrounds are so incredible. And did you notice all these little hidden things?
Yeah, you gotta, like,
And then
collate them
everyone else
both.
is like, no, you're not allowed. You have to do one. Aww,
Yeah.
fine.
And I kind of just did that with it took me like an hour to collate all of the screenshots, like after I did all of them, to condense them down, and then I had to come up with material, and that was just painful. But it was fun. My introduction, I'm still really proud of that.
Yes, that was awesome. There are some that are easier to caption than others.
Yeah.
Like, there are some where I've looked at and I go, like, I know exactly what I'm putting for that. And there are others where I'm just like, I know I have to include this because it's a major thing in the story, and I cannot think of anything funny to say, and none of the normal people I steal ideas from are around.
Yeah. When in doubt, I just made fun of myself. Like, there was the screenshot of Fluttershy looking at the bear, and I just put Fluttershy as, like, contracting the bear to come kill me, or something like that. It was just really easy joke. But yeah, it takes pretty much for all of us. I think for PRB too, it takes like double-digit hours at least, if not the whole day.
Yeah. And then there's Serial, who bashes it out in like 2 hours, and he's probably the best of all of us.
How does he do that? Serial does it
because
like
he is a machine.
He had it done in like an hour after the episode premiered or something like that. Like, I woke up and was watching the episode on YouTube. He's like, "Oh yeah, here's the follow-up, guys." I'm like, "What?"
Can you look it over for typos or anything? It's just, oh.
Yeah, it's bonkers, man.
He clones himself. Like, he's just got a bunch of clones in a basement somewhere, and they do it for him. That's
yeah,
my current
pretty
theory.
much. I mean, I don't know. He loves rarity, so
that helps.
maybe he just
that slave instinct really matches up with
he has everyone else sweatshop the follow-ups for him.
Yeah.
Fiona Rose asks, because we actually went over this in our second podcast on villains, but we had a completely different staff, so I'm going to run this question by you guys. We've had a lot of reformed antagonists lately, and even a couple of main villains, so what's next up, do you guys think? Do you think there'll be more reformed villains or antagonists, and who will that be if that's the case? Or if villains like Tyrek or Queen Chrysalis might be reformed?
I think I mentioned this in the last podcast I was on, which was on a slightly different topic, but it touched on this slightly. Out of the two of those examples, either Tyrek or Chrysalis, I would honestly be a little bit surprised if they don't come back to the Changelings at some point.
I really think there's a lot of potential there, and I would like to see them come back to them.
Yeah, well, like,
whether
they
they're
popped up
likely
in,
to, I'm not sure.
They popped up in Slice of Life, and I know it's like a one-off joke, but it shows some kind of intent of it's still a thing. They're still there.
They're still around.
It hasn't really been fully addressed. They were sort of just team rocketed off into the sunset.
Blasting off again.
Yeah, but it wasn't this permanent resolution or anything. I feel like Tyrek was a more permanent resolution. Like, he escaped, and now he's right back where he was, so it's not going to mean a lot if he comes back out.
And Tyrek as well felt more irredeemably evil. Chrysalis's thing was the whole, I am trying to protect what is essentially my children. What are essentially my kids. Tyrek is literally just, I'm an evil jerk. Chrysalis at least has, I think, a more plausible ability to be redeemed. Like, I've seen a lot of people spin it that because the Changelings have this whole hive mind, they look at ponies and mules and cows who don't have that hive mind as deformed in some way. Like, the equivalent of, like, that they're stupider, and that's why it's okay to treat them like animals. And so it's, Chrysalis, for whatever reason, has to live among the ponies and act like them, and realizes that, well, no, it's not that they're dumber because they can't talk mind to mind, it's just they're different. So, again, because I think a lot of the angle is she's just trying to feed her kids, it's more plausible that she'll be redeemed than I think Tyrek would.
I think that's just where
I would love to see that, like, bee bear thing come back, because that thing looked amazing.
The bugbear?
Yes. I want more bugbears. I love my D&D references.
No, what we need is more Secret Agent Sweetie Drops.
Yes!
Yeah, well, wasn't there a book
let's
revealed?
embrace that. Even if it's just a background gag, even if it's just like her vanishing from something, like
Either
they're doing
way,
this whole thing in the background.
It would be hilariously cool. I'm really looking forward to Jan Barrow's book on that. I think it should be really cute, because her books are adorable.
Yeah, definitely. I want to start reading those. because they...
I really recommend them. I got the Daring Do set when it was, like, super discounted. So, I got, like, the chest and everything and just went, oh my god, I'm so happy.
Buy the whole box set, take it on the beach, get some reading glasses and a highlighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yawn occasionally every 2 pages or so.
Yeah.
Bring them to, like, a panel, and just when something brings something up, you just, like, take out a huge suitcase, open up
No, I already have
books.
the My Little Brony book for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I love that book. I hope you bring it to BronyCon again.
I read, like, the first, 5 pages of it, and was like, I can't.
No, Ferret was... That
No,
was you and
I was
Jake
sitting
were live reading the whole thing.
Yeah, Jake and I were sitting doing live readings at the convention,
Oh, my God.
and it was hilarious. People were just killing themselves laughing and just having drinking contests. It was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, that book is just...
As I said, you better bring that again, Aqua. I love that thing.
So we have a question regarding story submissions. So, Ferret, you are pretty much the...
Yeah,
Whatever keeps the pre-readers running, you are the overall...
I am the wielder of the whip,
Pretty much.
which is to say, I am wielder of the adorableness and sharp teeth.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't take that out of context. But how many story submissions do you guys get per day/week? We can...
It really depends. If it's a new episode airs, it can spike up to as many as, say, a dozen in a week. But I'd say we usually get at least 2 or 3 a day. Sometimes a little more, like close to 4 or 5. It really varies wildly, honestly. It depends on, whether the fandom's really interested in something, or whether there's a new character been introduced, or a new idea, or, a really popular piece of art's floating around, or a really popular piece of music. I'd have to say it varies, but it's a heck of a lot, I can tell you that, guys.
How many rah ship fics were sent to the queue? Because that's still probably my favorite shipping name ever.
Now, wait, let's clarify. Are you talking about rah-rah or rah-rah-rah?
Rah.
So them together.
Yes.
Yes.
So rah-rah ship with rah-rah-rah. Okay, that's...
Yeah, it's a rah ship. I'm not even sure. Because I don't necessarily look at every story that comes in. I will pick up a story that catches my interest, but most of what I do these days is make sure that the stories get looked at before they've been there too long, because we try to have an under a month turnaround time so that people aren't waiting huge amounts of time, and just, talking to authors who need help or helping give feedback, or, mostly making sure that people are doing their jobs and that nobody's getting burnt out or too overworked. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. So, a Brony account asks, where's PK? I assume his food supply of industrial solvents must be running low by now, so he's probably found a way out of the utility tunnels beneath EQD HQ. Does that chip Calpain put in him have a tracking function? I feel
it does, thankfully.
I think this guy knows too much.
No.
Yeah, okay,
he knows early EQD.
So yeah, we don't talk about this a lot, but have you ever... I don't know if anybody listening to this has seen the movie Bolt, but if you have, it's nothing like that. PK's just a regular dog.
Yeah. He's like this adorable little pit bull. He's like black and white and floppy ears. He's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but he has a coffee maker in his side.
I think I asked Calpain about the chip in him, and he officially said no comment. So
yeah, no comment is the answer we go with.
Yeah, we tried the whole animal testing thing, but his PSATs weren't great, so we're gonna go ahead and focus on his other academic pursuits.
And we asked Hasbro what to do with him, and they said no comment as well. So no comment.
Yeah, and Luna and Celestia wouldn't touch him. Luna's just annoyed we buried the moon in fanfic and we're not making her good coffee, and Celestia's too busy putting people into maid uniforms and sending them to the moon.
Jesus Christ, 2011, it's been a while.
I was going to say, how long do we want to dump this podcast?
Yeah, for those of you who aren't aware, which should be all of you, we're referencing in-jokes literally from, when the fandom was a child.
There's a series of stories called Tales from the Staff Canteen on FinFiction that was literally all of the EQD staffers wrote little short stories about what it was like working at Equestria Daily, and it's old as the hills and ridiculous, but it is also cute fun.
You heard that we literally wrote fan fiction about ourselves.
Yeah.
It was pathetic.
It's really pathetic, but it's also really, really funny. There are still people who occasionally make noises about writing them, like Pegasus Rescue Brigade made some noise about, because he is unofficially, like, in charge of safety, so he was going to try and, like, deal with a safety inspection while I keep chewing on the wires.
Yeah, I always think about going back and just raising mine from the face of the earth because I wrote it when I was, like, 17 and it's awful.
Yeah.
And then we tell you you're not allowed because it's historical value. Yes. And that's the thing, is it's fun, but I don't think it really needs to be updated because it's so cute. It's literally like a 5-year-old going, "Look, Mommy, I made you a picture with pasta!" And you go, "That's adorable," and you put it on the fridge.
And then PK just tears it down and chews it up.
Exactly.
Addergaze asks, what are the species that you most want to appear on the show? We'll start with ferret. Ferrets don't count.
Sea ponies.
Okay.
We've already seen ferrets, thank you very much. Every single follow-up I do opens with a picture of a ferret. This is how we know that it's going to be my episode, because the show opens with a ferret.
That's true.
Have you not noticed this?
I forgot.
I'm crushed. Yeah, I would love to see sea
my follow-up's always
ponies.
open with movie references, but we don't see any of those in the show ever, so...
No, clearly not.
No, not a single one.
Nope.
How about yourself, Aqua?
I mean, if I Googled all of the various Greek and Roman myths, I'm sure there'd be a couple cool ones that haven't showed up yet. Personally, I would love to see Wendigos pop in again. They were like this brief little narrative device, but they'd be really cool to play around with.
But they seem like such a cool idea.
Yeah, like just like a little like minor resurgence, because there would be this whole angle of this is the first time in 1,000 years they've popped up anywhere, or probably more than 1,000 years, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to be some
little
kind
angle,
of...
and we would get a little bit closer to that Star Swirl tease that we always keep getting, but it's literally never going to show up.
But at the same time, I mean, is that not better in some fashion, because it means we can do our own stuff with it, rather than feeling like, well, I want to do this, but now canon says I can't.
Yeah, but see, the thing about when you give fan fiction writers a lot of leeway is fan fiction writers do horrible things with leeway. Leeway has a restraining order from most fanfic writers, so we don't like to mix them.
This is true. I do recall the last court
And I say
case.
this as a pretty,
As an active fanfiction
leeway-esque
writer who has written about Wendigos.
Not plugging or anything.
No.
Yeah, no, totally. Fanfiction.com/Aquaman.
It didn't
not plugging
totally, win that outside-inside contest that EQD put on
with that
last
beautiful
summer or anything.
I Am Demon story with all the colors.
We get it, Aqua. You're good at writing.
Coincidence.
You're making us look
Shameless
bad.
self-promotion podcast, go.
Yeah, in addition to writing fan fiction about ourselves, we also win our own contests.
Yeah.
It's just an incestuous little pool we have going on here.
It is. But I mean, at the very least, when we confirm stuff like this, it really makes the conspiracy theorists happy.
Yeah. Pretty sure there's a subreddit somewhere in the deep bowels of the internet. EQD is Illuminati or something.
Yes. Totally. Hide out and back.
My choice is actually kind of weird. I want I want panda bears.
Oh god, why? They're already in WoW. How much more do you need them to taint?
That's why.
Right.
No.
I want a really realistic portrayal of panda bears.
You mean
Like, I want
bears
Twilight
that
Sparkle to
haven't
turn to
figured out
Rainbow
that,
Dash
like,
at some point and say, I literally don't know how these creatures have survived this long.
And everyone else goes,
How are they alive?
they're so cute and fluffy.
They spit in the face of natural selection and everything Darwin stood for.
Basically.
Yeah,
In case you don't know, panda bears actually are supposed to eat meat, but they eat bamboo, which is a plant, which they cannot digest, which is why they struggle so much to survive.
I did
Pandas
not know
are
that.
amazing. Yes, they're actually bears. They ate meat, relatively speaking, in the history of the world, not that long ago, and their system has
Even
not
they don't
evolved.
want to survive.
Yeah. Also, there's the whole, they only mate once a year, and the female only goes into heat for a couple of days. And even when the male comes over and goes, hey, you're frisky, she goes, no, get out of my face. Most animals, when they're fertile, go to the male and go, hey, let's go get busy. Not pandas.
That's beautiful. in a
So,
way.
much like Starlight Glimmer, I think this would all be solved with Tinder.
All right, the joke is twice now, Aqua. You get one more.
Mm-hmm.
Get one more
Rule
with the Tinder
3.
joke.
Learn something every day.
Yep.
So Razgriz1 asks, which mods typically handle what on the site? So Aqua and
Calpain posts.
Calpain handles regular posts, right?
Yeah, Calpain and Seth do regular. Seth tends to handle news more so than like scheduled stuff. That's usually Calpain's thing. Cups does all the card stuff. You do the editorials. Calpain and I handle moderating the comments. I think we're the main ones who do it.
Q does the comics.
Yeah. You do Nano as well.
Yes, I've been trying to do monthly stuff like that. I did do Nano, and I have something planned for January. I know I told the listeners this last week, but I actually have something planned for January, and I already have some people signing on as helpers for the event. So I think that this event's going to be, like, in a way, better than Nano. So I'm really excited for that.
Excellent. I've certainly helped run contests in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly a case of we sort of find stuff we're interested in doing and go like, hey, I have an idea for stuff. I want to do this. And the rest of the blog authors go, okay, go do it.
Yeah.
And then, real life happens. We go, I would love to continue, but real life.
Yeah, Fee
so
also does write at artist training grounds, right?
The training grounds. Yeah. Yeah, and Pegasus Rescue does the writers training grounds.
Yeah, we just have like a dozen people that just kind of pick up stuff whenever, we feel like it. I think I posted news a few times. I posted about the donated casket, and I know
I've
Aqua
posted about news before.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's a case of who's available to post what kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like some stuff, like for card games or comics, that's sort of automatically shunted to Cups or to Q. But if it's just general news, it'll often be like, hey, well, this needs to be posted. Somebody go make up a post.
You'll notice I've stayed mostly silent here because the question came up of what our responsibilities are, and I went, oh, look at that interesting thing that's out of frame and outside of the mic's range.
Yeah, well, you have this thing called school responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I've taken on news responsibilities exactly one time.
Yeah.
And it was traumatic.
Which is why you sort of went,
yeah.
I don't want to do that again. Please don't.
Well, no, I was totally willing to do it, but the thing was, I think Seth, for some reason, messaged me on Steam, which I opened like 3 times a month, so God knows how he even got me on there. He says, hey, Aqua, can you post this thing for me? And he links me this thing, and it's like the Season 6 announcement.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm away from the computer, and no one else can do it, so yeah, you're around. Can you grab this real quick? And I freak out, because like, this wasn't even like, oh, it's just further confirmation. I think this was like the announcement.
Yeah, this
like,
was the announcement that we were getting Season 6.
And somehow it fell to me to all of a sudden mangle Blogger into shape, which I've never been able to do, as anyone who's read my follow-ups can see. So I throw it into Blogger.
In the sense that we would like to be able to mail it somewhere else and get a better system, but, you work with what you have.
Yeah, so I threw it in, panicked a little bit. I think I typed in all caps and Skype for a couple hours afterwards just to wind down.
Yes. Yeah,
and then I posted it, and then like 30 minutes later, it became moot because someone else got different information, and we put up a different post.
Yeah, I recall that.
But for 30 minutes, I was king. I really, really preferred just being a prince.
That's okay. I got 5 minutes at one point. Seth goes, Ferret, you're in Canada. You got EQG news before us. Go and post it because I'm not going to be around. And I'm like, oh my gosh, frantically figuring out how to import video and all this other stuff because it was in Facebook and I don't use Facebook because I'm a Luddite. Also, it creeps me out.
That's an SAT word.
Huh?
Luddite.
Isn't it just?
It's a big word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess PK never learned that one, but okay.
No, but I mean, we
Shots.
can.
I was making a reference to a previous joke. I still have the Rule 3 going for PK's bad PSAT scores with the animal testing line, which none of you criticized, so I'm going to keep going with it.
I didn't criticize it because I felt it was probably appropriate.
I don't get it. That's why. But yeah, let's see. So we
You're
have
American. This is an American thing.
I haven't taken SATs since like high school. It's been like 8 years.
You're sad. I live in Canada, so I've never taken them.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess long story short for that is we have like what, a dozen people that just handle what they're interested in. Whereas Seth,
I would say less than that, but yeah.
Yeah, Seth
Well,
Calpain.
it's because Seth, God bless him, does not know how to delegate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a post on if you're available thing, and there are a lot of posts I've had with Seth where he's like, "Can you post this?" And I have like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then if you're not lucky, you post it and he goes, "Oh, I already posted it."
Yeah, like I didn't that happen? That happened to me like 3 days ago. I was given something to post about someone for the MLP movie, and it figured out that Calpane already posted that. And good thing it was like a draft. I never actually posted it because it was like, "Hey guys," I'm like, "Oh, I should have checked." Because he just like he throws the post on you, and he's like, "Go post it," and then I'm like, "Oh my god, okay," and then I do it. I don't even bother to look because you're just like scared.
No, for me it was literally Seth said, "Can you post this for me? I won't be able to." So I post it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I already posted it like 20 minutes earlier."
Yes, it's not delegation so much as a time trial.
Yeah,
and usually you don't win.
No, you never win. Because Seth knows it before you. Which means he's just asking you on the off chance he gets distracted by Trixie.
Yeah, or whatever Steam game he happens to be playing at the time.
Yeah, that too.
So we have an easy question. NK Creations asked, "What is your favorite flavors of pie?" We'll go with Ferret first.
Blueberry. Because I make it at my cottage every summer.
You have a cottage?
My family, on my mother's side, bought up a strip of cottages, and we share it between all of us.
Oh, that's cool.
I kind of have a cottage. Like, we don't personally own it. It's, like, shared with other members of the family, but I get to go up there for, like, a week in the summer or so. Mm-hmm. And it's right up on the, like, the Canadian Shield in Muskoka, and you can look it up on Google Maps, and it's beautiful. I love it. You'll get murdered by black flies, but it's so pretty I don't care.
How about yourself,
Because
Aqua?
it's Canada.
I'm just stuck on this idea of something in Canada murdering something else.
They're too peaceful.
So precious.
Yeah, it's weird to me.
People are. The animals are less so. Moose totally take people out. Moose, in season, have been known to try to charge trains and walk away from it.
Now, if Grand Theft Auto 5 is any indication, the moose usually loses.
Yes.
With the right mods.
But sometimes they don't. And that's really scary.
Back on pies for just a second. I go with pecan.
Oh, yes.
Because it's proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Absolutely. I think almost all pies are proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Mm-hmm. Close second, though, is in certain places you can get, like, chocolate fudge pies, which are essentially really gooey, like, undercooked brownies in a pie crust.
Yes.
And that's solid. I don't think it's really a real pie. I think somebody made it by accident once, and they just rolled with it, and someone at corporate liked it enough to, like, slap an official brand on it. But for what it's worth, it's solid.
Like Mississippi mud pie, where it's literally you just make this, like, barely cooked brownie, and then pour, like, hot chocolate sauce all over it. And I'm like, that's not a pie, but I don't care because it's so good. You just make it in a pie dish.
Pumpkin pie would actually be my choice. So, I got Perry Pinky Potter asking, what inspired EQD and what plans and ideas might you have for it in the future? We kind of had this question already, I think. But I remember...
Also, I feel like Seth is the one who has to answer that.
Yeah, but I remember him answering this in a... in, like, I think it was BabsCon last year, where he basically said when he got banned for like posting ponies on 4chan.
Yeah, when the mods on 4chan really cracked down on the ponies thing and all the, mods asleep post pony macros came up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much what inspired EQD, because I remember Seth every now and then would post these posts from, like, when he was posting EQD on 4chan, like the beginner, like the first month or so that he did it. He's like, "Hey guys, I made a site. There's a bunch of pony stuff on it. Let me know what you think." And, like, he'll just post that from the archive every now and then and just be like, "Gosh, how far have we come?"
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess
I would have thought that we would outlast 4chan.
Yeah, right?
Oh, poor 4chan. Hey, guys, I've got 4chan. How do you post pictures? Bless his heart.
Poor 4chan. They'll always be there. And then, so ideas we might have for it in the future. I'm doing a thing in January. I think it's mostly just do what we've always been doing. Post news.
I'm thinking of doing something with Twilight Sparkle's shipfic folder, even though it's kind of deceased.
Ooh.
I mean that the guys making them are done, but I'm planning on doing some stuff with it at some point when life actually straightens out enough that I can do it. The Horrible People company basically said they're done with Horrible People actions. They've said, like, thanks, it's been great, but we have other things we want to do in our lives, so we're ending it here.
Okay, well then I'm glad I got all the stuff.
Yeah, it's basically,
this year, though.
If you didn't buy it, you're probably out of luck. But
no, that was the only thing I dropped significant money on. I got the whole box set.
Yeah, Aqua and I both spent like $85 a piece getting the entire thing, all of the expansions, and
it's like the only thing I've ever spent like significant money on, like merchandise wise. Right. I think like I bought one of the like the cheaper-ish like chibi looking plushie things for a significant other at some point. But other than that, like I've never spent any money significantly at a con except for that.
Well, I remember you and I like were chilling in the merch hall at BronyCon, and the moment that both
of us... Which is not really a thing that you can do to chill in the merch hall at BronyCon.
No, it's kind of challenging.
It's a chaotic slam bang just mess of a thing.
Yeah, the line for BronyCon was insane for shipfic folder, for those that weren't there. Like, it was basically... Like, the merch hall is already huge. It's like a Costco with how big it is.
And it's already, like, packed with people.
Yeah, and it's already packed with both merch and, like, the other merchers and the other people who are buying stuff. But shipfic folder in general had to form a line at the end of the hall and have security, like, motion people over to the table to buy it. Like, I remember, Aqua, how long were you waiting in line? You waited, like, 40 minutes.
Long enough to angrily text the group chat a lot.
Yeah, you were in...
I remember this.
I
was unhappy with the state of affairs.
40 to 60 minutes you waited in line to get your copy. And, like, whenever I would...
I was mad about it doubly because, like, again, I don't ever buy anything at conventions.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's this weird self-loathing angle, which, like, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. But no, I'm going to do this.
Well, it's also like the one thing that you want is, of course, the thing that you have to wait 60 minutes for.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes... I remember, Aqua, you and I, we got the cards and we're like, okay, I guess we're done. Like, there's like 200 other people selling merch and we got the cards and we're just like, okay, we don't have to buy anything else. And we didn't. I bought like a few other prints and that was it.
Yeah, I bought like a couple prints and... Because I brought a couple prints because like I felt bad. Like I was looking at it like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they look at me like, do you want to buy something? And I almost say no, but then it's like, I can't just say no. I'll get this cheap little thing here. This seems nice. And then I walked away.
Yeah, there were...
I paid them $10 or something. So.
On Sunday, it was kind of... I was really sad for a lot of other people because you could just see everyone slashing their prices down and just not wanting to take anything home. And there was just so many like people just trying to get your attention, trying to sell something. And I'm like, I'm beyond broke, dude. I bought the cards and that was it.
Speaking as someone who has done the dealer thing at conventions, yeah, no, by Sunday, all you're thinking is, I don't want to have to pack all this stuff.
Yeah, like you want...
Anything like that I can move, that I don't have to put back into the car and drive home, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's what I heard from a few other artists, like just some other artists I know that were vendoring as well. They were just like, I don't want to pack up this stuff. Like Alex himself, Alex Straza was selling pads, and he was like... marking down the... I believe it was Rarity that was still left because, of course, no one likes Rarity.
Ouch.
Poor Serial. We got to get him in here one of these days and just have him defend Rarity.
I would say I want to see the two of you just sort of start this little throwdown. Wind up in a slap fight.
That'll be beautiful. Maybe at a con. He needs to come to a con and...
Yes.
Me and Serial can just fight over who's the better pony. So I got kind of a... Princess Luna 101 asked, what do you want for Christmas? Ferret.
Well, if we're going with the shameless answer, world peace.
No, let's be materialistic and selfish. We're EQD here. I mean, we're already
I'm being materialistic and selfish, it's really nerdy, but what I really want is books and yarn, because I'm an avid, knitter. And I'm learning how to spin as well. So, pony books and yarn is actually what I'd really like for Christmas.
Well, Ferret took the hokey answer where I was going to do the whole, peace and love for all mankind, try to imitate a Tiny Tim voice as best as I was able. But that's off the table, so I'll be honest as well. I was looking for a couple games that I resisted the urge to buy. I actually haven't gotten Fallout 4 yet. I was waiting until the holidays. Yeah, because I could have afforded it, but at the same time, probably shouldn't have. I've turned into a really boring adult lately because I'm trying to do this big wardrobe refresh, I guess. So I'm asking for a lot of clothes with genuine intent.
I know that feeling. I literally, for Christmas, one of the things I got my partner is new tea towels because his towels are disgusting.
Yeah, I knew it was bad last year when, I got this nice winter coat, and I was, genuinely excited. It was the most excited I've been about a gift in years. This is such a nice coat. I've never had one like this before. This is awesome. And then halfway there, I'm like,
sort of stop and
this
go,
is a
oh my
coat.
God, I'm an adult.
This is an article of clothing that I am, genuinely exuberant about. So I think a couple years ago I decided, all right, I'm getting to that point where I'm asking for logical things and I'm going to be a boring asshole for the rest of my life. But in that, at the same time, someone needs to get me Legos every year. It doesn't matter how big the Lego set is, but I have to have Legos.
I will totally help with this cause of getting Aqua Legos.
Yeah, so
God,
I'm pretty sure that's
Legos.
in the cards. I've made that clear, but it's it doesn't have to be a specific set.
Aqua, can you
But
bring Legos
that's
to
my
BronyCon?
connection. No, because you guys will steal all the pieces and PK will eat half the tiny ones.
Yes. I may not be able to resist the urge to hide them.
I don't really know what I want for Christmas. I want to go to just a bunch of more conventions than last year. I only went to BronyCon and EQLA last year, and I want to go to, or I guess this year. Oh my God, it's December. It's Christmas, of course.
I don't know if there were any context clues that would have suggested that. But I'm glad you finally picked up on
California,
it.
so it's not like they get snow.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Christmas down here in California. It looks like...
I mean, to be fair, we got snow, I think, on this... was about maybe... I have to think in inches, about half an inch, and it lasted a couple hours. So it's not like it's super Christmassy over here either.
Yeah, it never gets Christmassy in Virginia. The way I describe Virginia weather, if you've seen The Day After Tomorrow, there's that point at one point where you see the map of the U.S. and half of it is just this solid white sheet. But if you look real closely, there's this roughly triangular shape that's perfectly green and has no snow in it, and that's Virginia. And in Virginia, it's 35 degrees and raining.
Harsh.
That's our weather.
I'll just ask everyone I know for money. Aqua, you want to give me money for Christmas?
Ooh, I can shine this nickel I found.
Ooh.
I'll mail it to you. You'll have to pay
I could find
postage.
a bright shiny penny.
Good
Wow.
enough. I'll take both.
I was giving him a nickel. Don't jip him.
Yeah, it's like a Secret Santa
Yeah,
where
you're
you
right. I
don't...
should make it at least 10 cents.
Oh, now you're upgrading Aqua, though.
conversion
Now
and
Aqua's
stuff.
going to feel bad.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it, because
Okay.
it's Canadian, so it's only
We're
worth
changing this to
half as
different
much.
currency. I have a couple pence coins left over from England.
Oh, very nice.
Shoot you some of those.
Some
No one
communism
knows what the
coins.
exchange rate is at any given time, so maybe it's more, maybe it's less. It's a mystery.
Let's see. Green Knight Link asks, with season 5 over now, what TV show episode, movie, books, or comics did the timelines of the last episode remind you of? We'll go with Aqua first.
Ooh, that's an interesting question, actually. Everyone immediately jumps to Fall at Equestria for the Wasteland one, but I'm always more partial to The Road. Which is a much darker, bleaker outlook on it.
I was going to say, it's a much grimmer take.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not that that's necessarily what happened, but as far as what it was reminiscent of, it's this gray, overcast, it's not even that there's a rough post-apocalyptic civilization. There's just nothing.
Yeah, it's empty.
So that was the callback I found there. I haven't really thought of the rest of it in terms of pop culture references, primarily because I didn't do the follow-ups. I didn't really like turn on those instincts a lot. Also, I think I watched the finale at like 4 a.m. after marathoning a few episodes before it, so
that probably doesn't
also
help.
didn't have the instincts on at that point either. But yeah, not enough people reference Cormac McCarthy enough. So
True.
How about yourself, Ferret? Did you see anything else in the alternate timelines?
I'm trying to think about it. I mean, certainly the alternate timelines are definitely referencing like alternate history stuff, and that sort of makes me think of like Harry Turtledove, or Naomi Novik. I don't know offhand.
I feel so uncultured. I have no idea what you just said.
I'm so sorry. Harry Turtledove does alternate history with, I believe, earlier stuff. I think his is like World War or earlier than that. And then Naomi Novik does, basically, it's the Napoleonic Wars, but they have dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And is surprisingly good history. So certainly that kind of crossed my mind. I don't know. I'm not as like pop culture savvy as Aqua, so to me it was just like, whoa, this is really cool. It wasn't like, huh, that makes me think of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was kind of looking. The only real thing that I thought of when I looked at the episode was Hard Reset, the fanfic by, I don't know who wrote it, but
Eakin.
Eakin?
Eakin.
So
Yeah.
we plug other things too.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Hard Reset was the first thing that came to mind when I was watching that. Like after the second transformation, or after the second like time travel loop, I was like, okay, this is kind of feeling a little Hard Reset-y. And yeah, it was, apart from that, I was kind of more interested in what the timelines were presenting themselves as opposed to what it seemed to reference. But I do remember seeing Josh Haber on Twitter, who wrote the episode. He said that X-Men First Class was sort of a inspiration, I guess would be the right word, for that type of episode. So it's understandable now that he says that, but yeah, it was kind of one of those, I don't know, I made a Madoka comparison in my review of the episode with the wasteland and everything, where it was just Madoka Magica is infamously an anime that was like marketed and also presented in the first 3 episodes as like a classic magical girl anime. Like it's going to be exactly the same as all the other magical girl animes. And then
it does a hairpin turn and becomes incredibly grim, dark, and disturbing.
Yeah, and then in the middle of the 3rd episode, spoilers, I guess, for people who haven't seen it, but it's like 5 years old now. But yeah, like someone dies in one of the most grisly fashions in halfway through the 3rd episode, and then it just goes downhill from there. It just gets more and more grimdark and more depressing, and the ending eventually was what the MLP ending would have been if they didn't like solve everything. Like it would have been the Wasteland ending basically, because the ending basically reset itself and made it to where
that didn't happen.
Yeah, like not only did the Wasteland didn't happen, but bad stuff was going to happen in the future anyway. And then there were like additional movies and stuff which I haven't seen. But yeah, Madoka Magica was a huge comparison that came to my mind when I was through with the episode.
Which cracks me up, because like so many people were like, oh my god, Madoka's amazing, it's so groundbreaking. I'm like, actually everything it's doing Swan Princess did several years beforehand, but it's still awesome. It's just not a trailblazer like you're claiming.
Yeah, it's not groundbreaking, but it was definitely
but a lot of people were arguing it was, because they didn't realize that Princess Swan had actually done basically all of that way back, like back in the, God, I want to say like the 80s or 90s kind of thing. Yeah. And so it was interesting seeing sort of the old guard and the new guard sort of arguing over it.
Yeah, definitely kind of just a different generation trying to, you know, push something as being more than it actually is. Just very apt comparison for, yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, just to quote Vicodin's waifu, art is a lie, nothing is real.
Oh my god. My favorite comedian of all time, Bo Burnham. Everyone right now, finish the podcast because we have a few extra minutes, and then go watch Bo Burnham. He has one of his own specials for like an hour long. Just go watch that. So
it's on YouTube, so it's not hard to find.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's called What?
And if you feel like literature, he's also got a book, apparently.
Yeah, he's got a book called Egghead, Why You Can't Survive on Ideas Alone. Don't ask how I know the entire thing. It's really good. I have it. I have two, actually. I got one signed, and then... I got one signed after I bought the original one. This is getting sad.
Okay, I'm getting a sense of how you know the title offhand.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on before you start babbling too much.
Yeah. Okay, so this was actually an interesting question. We saved it for the end. ISS asks, I've been thinking about this question for a while, thought it'd be interesting. There are rumors of a third park coming to Universal Orlando. While Nintendo has been talked about for that park, MLP would also be a largely successful family franchise in the last few years. So basically it's asking if Universal would cash in on the MLP franchise and make an MLP attraction or land at this third park. So how would you guys picture it? Like, let's hypothetically say it's going to happen. How would you picture it? And then we'll kind of backtrack and say whether we think that's possible in, like, this day and age. So we'll start with Ferret. Like, how do you think the attraction would be, or the park, if you were to go?
I think I have to recuse myself from the question because I've never been to any of the Disney parks.
Well, it's just like a regular amusement park.
Yeah, but I don't have a lot of major amusement parks near me, so it's never really been something I've done, so I have no idea.
Oh, that's understandable.
Well, you could base it on that indie game that came out, The Park. So in that context, the attraction would be an hour long, you'd be overcharged for it, and it wouldn't lead to anything substantive.
Wow. I've never actually played The Park.
Would involve a lot of walking.
Was that the one where
naturally involves a lot of walking?
No, that was the horror game that looked really promising and then turned out to literally be an hour long, and it was a walking simulator.
Well,
and they're still charging $13 for it on Steam.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
At least they put out a full game, unlike, in AZ and such.
So I actually have been to the Disney parks as well as both the current Universal parks. So I could speak somewhat on what it might look like. And to be able to speak about what it might look like, though, I'd kind of want to backtrack a little bit first and say why I don't think it would happen, because it's kind of important as to what it would have to look like.
That I can totally jump in on.
Yeah, go for it.
So what the parks look like at this point, just to use the Universal examples, they're sort of imitating Disney's model where they have different zones and different themes based on their properties that they own. But they're going a little bit harder towards the property-centric thing. So the park's most recent addition is the huge Harry Potter worlds. There's two of them, one in each of the parks, and the parks are close enough geographically that there's this Hogwarts Express type deal that transitions between the two parks. So that's how you get from one park to the other. So it's a really cool setup, actually. If you are a Harry Potter fan, it's pretty much the closest you're going to get to actually stepping onto the literal movie set. So they did a great job with it. But the key appeal of Harry Potter is that it can appeal to everyone. And I'm talking about all the way from little kids, there's stuff for little kids there, to teenagers who have read the books and are fans of the actual source material, to the adults that grew up with it who are taking their kids there and who they themselves want to see the stuff that was in the movies. So you hit every single key demographic, if you want to separate it into those three, with the one singular park experience. So the reason why I don't think an FIM themed park would work is because it doesn't consistently hit all three of those. It's not a typical theme park experience where you can get everybody in. It's going to have this very specific focused appeal that might be good for like a little tiny section. Like one of the more local ones to me is Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And they have, their normal park, but in this little corner, there's a Sesame Street section. But that's what it is. It's a corner. It's this little part that appeals to very young children and very little else. So that's the only way I could see something like this working if they wanted to put forth the monetary investment, if they wanted to go ahead and actually buy the IP, which whole different conversation why I don't think they want to do that. But again, assuming they did, that's all it would end up being. It would be targeted at the 7 to 10-year-old market. There might be a couple live shows. There might be like a little simple train ride. Probably it wouldn't be a train ride, actually, given the presence of our favorite little pink and purple train. But other than that, like there wouldn't be any substantive ride, and I wouldn't see Universal being the type of place that would do it. I would think it might be more a smaller park. I could see, I guess it's not owned by Paramount anymore, but the company that owns, I think, Kings Dominion in Virginia and Carowinds, right on the edge of the North-South Carolina border. So a company like that with just 2 or 3 parks that has room for a section to be themed around it might be a better option. But I wouldn't see Universal doing it personally.
That's basically where I'm coming from. It's also, I don't think it's proven to have enough lasting appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the thing about the Disney parks is they are, decades old.
Yeah.
It's a proven success. It's a proven moneymaker. We don't have that guarantee that Pony is going to have that survivability that they're going to want to invest the kind of money that goes into those parks.
Yeah, well, and the thing about Disney is they're not even sure if they're going to last in their traditional sense.
Yeah.
Like, they fill up the Magic Kingdom every year easily because of lasting appeal and because they have this huge reputation as this is Disney World. If you're going to Disney World, you go to the Magic Kingdom. That's the place that you have to go. Fun fact for someone who was there during like the busiest week of the year, which was the week between Christmas and New Year's last year, do not go to the Magic Kingdom during that week. You literally cannot get in unless you were there before 10 a.m. They will fill the park capacity and they will close the gates.
Mm-hmm.
I'll believe it.
Like, they don't lock you in, but like they will not let anyone else in because they are at capacity at 10 a.m.
Max.
Yeah, it's like a safety issue if they let in too many people.
It's a safety issue, and it's just a practicality issue because you can barely walk through the place unless you were going where most of the crowd is going.
Mm-hmm.
Once the parade gets through, God help you. You are not going anywhere until that parade is done. Like, and I mean, if you want to move from the spot you have ended up getting shoved to the side of the road for, you're not moving.
Yeah,
I don't know how we made it out there because we got into the middle of this just cluster of people, directed by people who, God help them, the cast members were doing their best, but it's the week after Christmas at Disney World. It's that like hyped season, which I assume the summer is basically the same way, and they are losing. They're losing the magic.
Yeah,
I guess
they're struggling.
So that being the thing that I think Disney's doing well is they're expanding past that. So the Magic Kingdom is still there. They haven't done a huge amount of renovations there. Epcot has gotten huge. If you're an adult over the age of 21, it's the best place you'll ever go because they have alcoholic drinks and beers from all over the world. All the food's great. It's such an adult place where if you're an adult and you're into like the food and drink and the shopping and all that, it's awesome. MGM's gotten some cool stuff in it. They're actually focusing on the Animal Kingdom. The Expedition Everest is cool. They're expanding out of the parks a little bit, and they just got Marvel and Star Wars in there.
And that's the other thing, is they're very good about updating things. They do. Yeah. There is some stuff that's always there, but they do still rotate things out to keep them current, whereas Pony isn't broad enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that would be the singular section. Like even the thing I was talking about at Busch Gardens, like that's Sesame Street. That's a kid-focused thing, but Sesame Street is as much of an icon as you're ever going to get in the kids' TV market. That's it. That's the mother lode. So that's why you can put Sesame Street on something like that, and it's going to last.
And then finally, we have Dracula asking, what is a man? We'll start with Aqua.
Miserable pile of sarcastic, introverted tendencies and daddy issues.
Is that a reference to something that I'm missing?
A reference to me, of course. No, it's an inside joke I have where that's what all of my OCs are. Sarcastic introverts with daddy issues.
Basically.
Because if you look at it, it's really true.
So, Ferret, speaking as a woman, what is a man?
Oh, dear. Do I want to be accused of being a feminist, since that kind of has become a dirty word? Or do I want to just go with something ridiculous? Yeah, that's why I get to say it. I don't know. Too complicated to sum up in a single sentence.
That's exactly how I would describe a woman.
Exactly.
I would quote Macbeth, but I haven't read it since like freshman year of high school.
A miserable pile of secrets and lies.
There you go. Thank you. Ferret with the literacy knowing person here. Well, yeah, that was that question could have went existential real quick. Aqua tried to like push it in that direction. And I think
was I?
No, a little bit. I mean,
or was I? Kind of.
It's quite possible. But I think we'll end it on that note while we go ponder our lives. Thank you very much to everyone for listening to the Equestria Daily Fandom Podcast. I would like to thank Ferret.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
And Aquaman for attending.
Can I go home now? It's cold in here.
No, you're...
I'll get you a blanket.
I'm out of liquor.
Oh, crap.
Oh my god, we have
Do you have the sedatives?
No, I ran out.
PK used them all.
Darn.
Damn dogs.
I'll call Seth. Goodbye, everyone.